Hello, and welcome to day 13 of Month of Darkness. My name is Debbie Lane. I am the community developer over at World of Darkness, and today I'm going to interview our community ambassador, Amanda Huddy Huddleston. Woo!
Hello.
Hello. She has had the incredible opportunity to write and star in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 radio show, Beth of Night. So we're gonna I have some questions for you.
Okay.
We are gonna start with, can you tell us about your character in Beth of Night, who they are in the world of Bloodlines 2?
Well, I think anyone who's played Bloodlines 1 can instantly recognize that they are designed or meant to be an homage to Deb of Night. She has her little radio show that she has people call in about what's going on in Seattle, and she offers them advice, usually in a flirtatious manner, and usually in an unserious manner.
How did you create that?
Oh, again, it was an homage to Deb. So originally, when I was first hired as a community ambassador, one of the things I talked about in the interview process was that I wanted to bring some ideas into into doing community stuff, and one of them was I wanted to do a radio show that a la Deb of Night, something I was going to do privately, and then when I got hired, I was like, hey, I can do it here. And it just sort of morphed from there. I made it originally for just World of Darkness, and then I was contacted by the dev team at TCR who were like, hey, what if we put Bet in Bloodlines 2? And I was like, hey, yes.
Yes, yes, please.
That's pretty much where Bet came from.
So it really is just a true fan creation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got my start playing Bloodlines 1. That's how I discovered Vampire the Masquerade and then subsequently World of Darkness. And it's just snowballed from there. So everything that I do really comes from a fan place.
Hey, as it should. Now, what aspects of this character challenge you most as a performer?
Well, as a performer, I would never quantify myself as a performer, although I appreciate that you quantify me that way in this interview. I've been doing storytelling and quote-unquote voice work for games not video games, but for tabletop games for a while. Probably the hardest performance I had to do for Bet of Night was her final broadcast, and I don't think I can say more about that.
Ooh, no spoilers.
When I say final broadcast, what I mean is the final night, I suppose.
Yeah. Now, Bloodlines 2 characters often exists in moral gray zones. How did you approach balancing vulnerability and menace?
God, that's such a good question. Well, I think I'm someone who's very steeped in not only Bloodlines 1, my experiences with it, but I'm very steeped in the World of Darkness in general, across the 90s all the way up to the present day. And I think that type of experience lends itself to be able to write characters like Bet, who you'll experience while you play. I think I was just extremely fortunate that I have that background that made Bet incredibly easy for me to write, because I feel like I intimately know the World of Darkness really, really well, and so it was almost easy to write Bet, to insert her into the world of Bloodlines 2, because Bloodlines 2 very much captures the atmosphere and tone of World of Darkness.
It really does. And Bet fits in really well in it as well. Now, without spoilers, what is one scene or moment that really defined the role for you?
I unfortunately have to keep hearkening back to the last night that you play as in Bloodlines 2. That was the to be perfectly honest, that was the script I took the most time with. That was the performance. That was the time I took the most doing voice lines, repeating them, doing different takes. That I really wanted to drive home. And I wish I could talk about it. I can't. But I promise if you make it through all the radio shows, I think it's a worthwhile journey.
We'll have to do a follow-up interview when we can discuss the spoilers.
Yeah, sure.
I'll make you talk more. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the world of Bloodlines 2. Now, What excites you most about Bloodlines 2's tone and atmosphere compared to the other games that we have?
Exactly that. It captures World of Darkness's tone in a way that there's nothing really comparable to it. Because, again, a lot of people look to Bloodlines 1 as capturing it, but it's sometimes hard to remember that Bloodlines 1 existed 20 years ago. Bloodlines 2 captures this moment, and that's what's so great about World of Darkness, is that things take place in the moment in time in which the books and such are written. So Bloodlines 2 absolutely captures the modern nights that we live in now, and it's such a great dichotomy to play an elder existing in the modern nights. It's a great bridge between perhaps, players who haven't interacted with the World of Darkness in a long time coming back into and checking out Bloodlines 2. It's almost, I mean, the devs over at TCR absolutely understood the assignment.
Absolutely. How did the writing or direction of TCR help you inhabit this dark and morally complex world?
Well, again, I was fortunate enough to talk with some of the devs, Alex Skidmore being one of them. And they really they gave me a lot of information. They gave me a lot of easy to digest sort of ticks and where the game was going, storyline beats and things like that. So it gave me a great overview of exactly what to expect in the game, which helped immensely in inserting. Because as much as I feel like I understand World of Darkness and understand the tone and how a character should exist, what helped tremendously was their input into inserting Bet in there. So I understood exactly where their line was, how dark they lent, or how into sort of dark comedy they lent in either direction, wherever the needle went, and it made it easier for every night to write a script that fell into that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of dark comedy in the Best of Night show.
There is, yeah. But also I'm a big fan of dark comedy, so that's a little bit me too.
What do you think makes Bloodlines 2's take on vampirism stand out from other depictions in media?
So the obvious thing about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is you play as an elder as opposed to a new fledgling character. So although in the game, for reasons, you're not, the powerful elder you should be, you have to sort of work your way back up to it for reasons. There is an interesting idea that, instead of starting from like the very bottom of the food chain and having to crawl your way up to the top of it, you're already supposed to be at the top, and you have to figure out a lot of things about why you're not at the top anymore, and you have to relearn things. So it's great to both play a powerful elder at the same time. Even if you're a new player and you don't know anything about Vampire the Masquerade, you're still doing the sort of work of working your way up to it and learning as you go along. So that, I think, is extremely different to any other vampire game that's out there.
Now, were there any memorable behind-the-scenes moments during your recording?
Yes, and they weren't about my recording specifically. As the creative producer, Marty Outstar Zish, was helping with the recording of some of the advertisements and the other voices that obviously Bet interacts with, I got to see some of that behind-the-scenes footage. Marty recorded some of that for me, and that was... It's a particular feeling for stuff that you've written down and created to watch other people act it and perform it out and do different takes, and how their own interpretation of how you may have imagined it in your head as you were writing it was a particular, I'm not a big crier, but I felt some feelings about that. That was a pretty cool moment.
Speaking of, how collaborative was the process, and did TCR or PDX have input into your different characters' voice and demeanor or like emotional beats?
Yes, both. So I wrote out the scripts as they were. I had already had scripts from when it was going to be a private thing and then a World of Darkness thing. But then I had to stretch out the scripts, obviously. And then I had to change a lot of things to make it fit into the world of Bloodlines 2. And so for every step of the way, every script went through TCR's hands and went through the World of Darkness's team's hands. And I would say out of everybody, Kareen Moanmar and Marty Outstarzish, and then to maybe Jason Carl as well, did the most sort of editing or changing some things. changing, for example, names of products in the advertisements, or sort of dialing back certain, like if I ever lean too far, as I mentioned, the needle left or right, darkness or comedy.
Yeah.
If I lean too far into the comedy, they would be like, "Well, make this a little darker." And if I lean too far into the darkness, they go, "Make it a little bit lighter." And I go, "Okay." So that was actually, which I love. I love a lot of critique in all the stuff that I do, so that I can improve. So I enjoyed that very much.
Now, what was the most surprising thing you discovered about performance capture or voice work while making Bloodlines 2?
Well, I didn't do any performance capture because my role is entirely vocal. What was interesting is, again, Marty was there in the booth doing a lot, helping with a lot of the recording of the additional voices to Bet on the radio show. And so often Marty would say, "Can you do this? And can you make an additional, like, grunting noise, or can you act with your throat, make noises that aren't dialogue, but make additional noises around that." And so that was something interesting I'd do. Like, I had to convey that Bet perhaps maybe like did a deep sigh, and then I'd have to do a deep sigh, but I'd have to do it in a way that actually conveyed through the microphone into my audio recording. And so that was fun. And again, the final recording of Bet has a lot of, I think it's called like ADR, additional dialogue recording, has a lot of that in it that I had to do myself right here at my desk. So that was really interesting.
It's weird the things we get to do for work. Now, Bed of Night seems to explore power, temptation, and control. What themes resonated most with you personally?
Well, Bet is all about temptation. She's all about sort of touching. She's very interesting because her whole platform is about reaching in and asking for the secrets of Seattle, outright touching the worst, darkest parts of what might be out there, but at the same time feeling like she's safe from it because she has a screen or a mic or a studio, like something in between what's going on here. So I really enjoyed the fact that she seems to be a type of person who doesn't realize it's sort of like when you're getting into World of Darkness for the first time, you don't realize exactly how deep it goes. So you're sort of touching the surface of it. And that's exactly the mindset I had for Bet. She is someone who is interested in this dark world, but she is unaware of how, the more that she reaches in to touch it, how much of it she's going to get consumed by it.
Beautifully put. So how did you prepare to convey that sense of eternal hunger or moral conflict?
I didn't have to prepare over much because 99% of my life revolves around doing stuff related to World of Darkness, whether in private or for work. So I pretty much live in the World of Darkness 24/7. So turning on the idea of, all right, now I'm out of this world and in the World of Darkness, the dark mirror of our world, I was like, that's easy. That's a light switch I can flick on and off.
Was there a particular emotion you wanted players to feel when listening to your character?
Yes. I wanted the players to feel that, Bet is someone who's maybe aloof or naive. I wanted to sort of convey the idea that she is flirting and like it's all just an act, a play. She's, putting on this persona. And as you go through the radio story, I would love if people saw that she is a real person and she eventually shows that for reasons.
You have also written incredibly funny Bed of Night ad breaks, which I think that fans are really going to enjoy. How did the idea of including these come about?
Well, again, that's directly inspired by Bloodlines 1. The most famous ad I think that Deb of Night had was Frickin' Chicken. So that was so I decided that, she should have both unsettling and funny ad breaks. None of them are regular. None of them are particularly normal, quote unquote. But that's where that inspiration comes from. And also in the computer that you use in Bloodlines 1, you often get like advertisements for, let's say, male enhancement pills. and such things like that. Just sort of goofy things that come through. And I think that's important because World of Darkness is so dark. It's very important to keep things light sometimes, because if you never have any lightness in there at all, you can't really see how dark the shadows are.
How do you balance that absurdity and the horror without breaking the immersion of the world?
Again, I sort of talk from a weird place, because once I discovered Vampire the Masquerade and World of Darkness, I became completely obsessed. And it's never stopped, because I felt like World of Darkness just got me, or I just got it, or, you know, somewhere in between. And the world that, again, World of Darkness is a world that is our world, but, you know, sort of a dark mirror of our world. That's the tagline that you see all the time. Our world is extremely dark and extremely absurd. So I don't think it's hard to walk that line, because you just have to take inspiration really from the world that we all live in.
Now, were there any particular in-jokes or references or even writing moments that you are especially proud of?
I'm proud of all of it. Can I reverse this question and share something that I'm particularly unproud of?
No. I mean, yes, now I want to know, but...
So back in the day, when, you know, and I still had all the old scripts and presented them to TCR back in the day. And I had one in there that was about NFTs. I had one caller in there about NFTs, about selling cockroach pictures or something like that. And I don't remember who it was over at TCR, but they were like, yeah, this isn't really relevant anymore. And I'm like, and I read it and I had forgotten about it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know. So it was really funny, because I was like, wow, I wrote because I started writing Bed of Night in 2021. And it was really funny to know that from 2021 to like 2023, 2024, whenever Bet started being produced by TCR, that in just those few sporadic years, like NFTs had basically fallen out of the zeitgeist of the culture for the moment. And I couldn't use something I had literally, you know, just written a couple of years ago. So that was that was both interesting, and I was also unproud that I had even written it.
I think that happens a lot with comedy.
That's true. Yeah, I'm not a comedian by nature.
Did you ever have to tone something else down or push it further?
I did have to. There was an ad that I had to tone down. No, the very first ad, I think, the spray to get wine out.
Yes,
that first
one.
ad. So my original ad for that, back when I'd written it just privately, was Blood Be Gone, which is a play on the actual Goo Be Gone product that you can use to get like sticky stickers off of things, like price stickers. And I had the advertisement with someone saying, "Oh, what is this mess?" and then like chainsaw sounds in the background. Again, because I did all the ads myself, so I had chainsaw sounds in the background, things like that, and it was obvious someone was being chopped up, and there was blood going everywhere, and so that was the advertisement, and everyone was in agreement that that was too much.
If you could write a new ad right now, what would you parody or promote within the Bloodlines universe?
Such an easy question. Aurora Pawn. Because I love Nico, so Aurora Pawn, hands down.
You might have to write that just so that I can chuckle at it.
I can do that.
Now, what do you hope players take away from Bet of Night and your performance in it?
Sincerely, I hope top of my list, I hope that they take away that me writing it was the top thing in my mind as I was writing it is I want this to be an homage to Deb of Night. I want, you know, the people who coming from Bloodlines 1 to know that they're people making this game and the people involved in this game were huge fans of Bloodlines 1 and wanted to capture as much of the quote-unquote magic of it as possible. As I've already mentioned, Bloodlines 1 is how I discovered World of Darkness to begin with, so it's a huge part of my whole journey into this. So I would like that to come across, and I hope that it does. Secondly, I would like for people to know that the World of Darkness is a place that is constantly moving. As you're playing as Fire, other things are going on in the World of Darkness that people would never know about. And one of those people is Bet. Fire would never really probably ever care about Bet or any of the people who call into her radio show. But it's a perfect example of how vast the world of darkness is and how there are many moving parts, both big and small, and Bet being a small one.
How has working on Bloodlines 2 influenced your approach to storytelling or character work moving forward?
Well, it's definitely forced me to sort of broaden or expand my thinking of characters, motivations, and things like that, because I had to write so many characters to call into Bed of Night. So it definitely it definitely helped me realize that, you know, sort of stock NPCs don't really work. Not that I ever really do stock NPCs, but like I can give stock NPCs a personality. I can give them small little tidbits of background because it's basically what I had to do for every sort of write-in person. I had to, in the script, give the disclaimer of like what they were all about in a very small 3-word sentence. It's also, I think, helped me do vocal work because so much of Bet had, obviously, if you hear, I mean, not that Bet doesn't sound like me, but Bet has a more lustrous voice, and she takes a lot more time to really talk to you, and you hear the warmth and the breathiness. And I don't actually talk like that.
It is 8 days to the release of Bloodlines 2, and we are so excited to keep bringing you more screenshots, more tidbits, and one more trailer this month of darkness. Thank you so much for joining me, Huddy, and thank you everyone for listening. So stay tuned for more. Bye.